Before today's video starts, I want to mention that according to YouTube statistics, only about 23% of all the people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. If you end up liking today's video, please consider subscribing. After all, it's free and you can always change your mind and enjoy the video. I have a Patreon now, it's down there in the description. There are quite a few tiers, go check it out. It will help me out a lot if you decide to support me. On to the video then. Alright, hello everybody. It's been a while since the last time we've seen each other. So the thing is that some of you guys might remember this piece of software I made a while ago. I actually had my past few videos dedicated just to this piece of software called eazycam, which is a easy to use webcam software. It's the source code so you guys can look at it, build it yourself. I just finished the updated version of the software and I must say I'm fairly happy with it. So this is how it looks right now. It looks kind of ugly, but this is because I'm using this as a sort of element. I'll go through it and explain everything and what I changed in order to make it work the way it works. So first off, let me show you how the app works, and then we can go over the changes that I made in order to make it work with my, with my setup. So there we go, it's loaded. So you'll notice that one of the major changes here is the UI. So it has now more colors, it has a better improved about section, it has a fully functional exit button, it doesn't spike up in memory for no reason. The same with the CPU, it's just idling now. You can pick any of these devices. There has been some logic implemented in order to fill out these tags. And the way I'm doing this is I'm using the this combo box, or this list item or element, if you will, and and in the previous video you could have seen me actually use it to pick one of those devices. Now a problem with this is that I wasn't able to pick those devices according to how it was written, so I had to make sure that it writes to a separate file, and then that it reads from that file to save it as some sort of a variable, and then compare it to something, and it was overly complicated for no reason whatsoever. So I implemented a totally new infrastructure for communicating between forms, and it works pretty much now 99% of the time. Sometimes it just may end up not working, but I'll explain everything. So you'll notice that these are filled out, these are not. So the default name for each and every one of these checkboxes is device name, as you can see over here in the source, and it gets changed according to the items in the list. So you might remember that in my last video on this, I had only these two devices, I believe, and then I added this one. This one is related to the very last video I made, which was related to recording your desktop on the Windows. And that's why I have now 3 devices here. Now, the way the logic works is that it's going to it has a bunch of if statements with switches and such in it to ensure that no device that wasn't supposed to run it is not going to run it, it's not going to be initialized. So the way I did this is that if I pick any of these devices, if it doesn't exist, it will put in device name. If it exists, it will fill it out. If it doesn't, it's going to not bother filling it out, obviously. I'll go over it in a bit of a later section. So if I pick any of these, it will check if it has the ability to capture any frames. So let's say I pick this Unreal WebRTC client source thing. I click start and it switches to my webcam automatically. So the thing with this is that it checks if it has the ability to capture any sort of frames, which WebRTC, the client source which I have, isn't able to do that. It's not going to be able to capture any sort of frames if the device isn't supporting capturing frames from a source. Our source is our webcam, and our webcam has the ability to capture those frames. That's why it's going to switch defaultly to the first item, and our first item happens to be our face cam. So if I even pick the screen capture recorder thing, It's going to switch to the camera again because it doesn't support capturing frames as the previous one. If I pick device name, since it's a empty value, it's not gonna bother, it's going to quickly switch to the one that supports it. So if any of those statements fail, it will switch to the default one, which is our camera in the first position. So again, I can pick this one, which isn't populated, it's still going to work. I can pick this one, it's still going to work, it's still going to fill out this form in here with my face. And if I pick the default one, it's not gonna even, be bothered with, it's just going to roll with it and show you the face. Now there's still a bit of glitching going on if I put it in a bit of a different place. So a really solid method of ensuring that it doesn't get, taken over by anything is just putting it in this corner down here, slightly above the task menu or the taskbar, so that if you click any of these, you don't get covered up, which is what I would recommend if you plan on using this on your machine. So make sure you have it set up like this. Now it's all cool and such, but I've also added this about window, which is now properly stylized and stuff, so it isn't a dialog box anymore, it's a separate small form, which works just fine, So that's like the main changes. The UI has been changed, so it's a bit more user-friendly now, and it's much easier to understand how the software works if you're planning on using it yourself. So, let's say I'll exit it. It will kill all the tasks related to the camera. So it will kill the camera, kill the process, and kill everything, so it doesn't end up eating your CPU cycles and times. So, up onto the code then. So one of the major changes that you'll notice, these are some I wasn't able to implement because it's causing me some problems, because I don't have enough devices to populate these. So if you have more than 3 devices, you may have to uncomment these, but that's one of the side effects. If I manage to figure this out, I will update it, let you guys know. But so far, since I have 3 devices, it works with these 3. So you just want to make sure that your device that you want to use gets captured over here. Honestly, I don't see a point in having more than 3 captured devices in your system unless it's totally necessary. But then again, that's one of the limitations if you plan on making something like this yourself. Pretty much how this works is that it's going to grab the information into our combo box. Our combo box is this element right here. It's going to add every single item to the combo box as a sort of a list, and then we're going to go through each and every one of these. In case it's null, so that means in case there's nothing in it, it's going to change the radio button text to device name, which is in pretty much every single one of these. And it only gets populated with the other devices, so that's something that you need to keep in mind. So in case it finds an item, it's going to grab the item name and set it as the radio button. So it's going to take the item name inside of that list and will set as the first radio button. And it's the same logic applies to each and every one of these. So it will take the first item, set it as the first item in the radio button list. It will grab the second item, set as the second radio button in the list. It will take the third item, it will set it as the third radio button in the list. And it goes on all up to 6 devices. Now since I don't have any 6 devices for capturing videos or capturing any sort of footage, it's going to throw me an error if I leave these uncommented, so it's something I need to work on, so bear that in mind. If you have more than 5 or more than 6, you can definitely use this just fine. Only thing you have to do is uncomment these just by removing these 2 forward slashes in front of all of this entire section. This pretty much opens the about window, which is the form number 3, which is this about window over here. This will exit the form, basically killing the entire application, so it won't run. This third button, that's interesting, it's still in a unfinished state. I don't know why I am using this one, even though I'm not even using this, so why am I doing this? Okay. Should be able to just you know, check it. We're not supposed to be writing anything to it. So let's build it and see if it runs now. It should work just fine, so I don't see why it shouldn't. Didn't realize I left that bit of code in there. What that code did is it was writing to a file that we're not even using anymore, so there was no point to that bit of code being there, so I just removed it, you know. So there we go, I picked the first cam, and it still works anyway, so it really wasn't necessary to keep it there. See, it still works. So it wasn't really necessary to have it there, so I just removed it. It was one of the previous attempts of me writing to a file and using that as some sort of a switch, so we could determine which device to run, but I figured out a better way of doing this. Which is where checkboxes come into play, and this is where a lot of you more professional devs come and cringe. So, yes, it looks ugly. I know there are better ways of doing this. I just didn't feel like doing it, so I wanted to make it as simple for myself as possible. It is functional, which is the thing that matters to me. Now, it's not ideal, and it only gets executed once. So it will check if one of these is checked or not, and then check if the name of it is the device name, and then it will execute a set of instructions. This is still far better than having a lot of for loops in it in order to figure this out a bit more of an efficient method. But in my case, as of now, as of this version that I have right now, as of recording this video, it's the version I came up with. So it's going to check if any of these buttons are checked. If they are, it's going to check if the text has been is the same, which is the device name, which is the default text inside of form 1 here. If it is equal to that, it's going to open the first camera, which is the main camera. In case it's not, it's going to open the first camera because the first radio button was checked. If the second one was checked, we'll check if the name of the text of the radio button is device name. If it's not, we will open the second one. If it is device name, we'll open the first one. And this logic applies to each and every one of these. So for example, as you may have noticed, I selected the fourth one and it changed to the first one. That's because the text is device name, which is the default tag I decided to use. If this is equal to this, which it will be obviously because we have only 3 devices, which is this one right here, it will also keep its name. And if it keeps its name, it's going to open the first camera in our case. And this repeats on to the very last one. In case any one of these fails for some reason, we will open the first one. It's somewhat, you know, it's not pretty, but it's functional and it works. This is left in here in case I need to do something with it, but as of now and looking into the documentation, it shouldn't really be here and doesn't change anything at all, so don't bother with it. This function pretty much grabs every frame, rescales it, and puts it inside of our picture box, which enables you to show your face through the camera, so basically the stream that's being put into your camera onto that piece of software. This is only to ensure that the app gets closed fully, because if you open any of these ones that don't exist, it's going to open the main one. But I have implemented this way, it's just in case nothing gets run, it won't even bother doing anything but just close all the connections to any video capture device that was enabled previously. So that's only to ensure that it all gets stopped in its tracks so it doesn't keep on running in the background, therefore wasting any of your time. And that's pretty much all the changes. This one is like a really simple form, so you shouldn't really matter with this. It's like really simple, it's just only a few labels in which I put some text in, and that's pretty much all of it. This is the secondary form, which keeps our camera, and it will put the frame inside of here from our camera. And this is the main menu, which you guys saw me use in the beginning of this video to show you the interface around so we can launch it again, which takes a little bit of time to load, obviously. If you are wondering how I managed to design this, it's really simple. You just go to Visual Studio Blend and you start picking like the foreground, checking which button styles you want. In my case, this works fine, so I'm using this. It looks good enough. It has a bit of a flat style, which makes it look a bit more modern. I can pick my face cam if I want to, can click start, and my camera will still be selected as the main one. Sometimes it just doesn't want to pick up, so you need to give it some time to initialize. But that's pretty much it. That's all there is to the software. I plan on adding the icons sometime in the future once I design it and fix some of the bugs. But as of now, it's a fairly decent version, a fairly decent upgrade compared to all the previous versions. Now, it's not the most memory efficient application, not by a long shot. Like you can see, we're using around 260 megs of RAM just by running this. But to be frank, I don't mind it. I have enough RAM to spare, and it's compared to all the other software that you're using, I think you can spare a few megabytes of RAM compared to how many workstations nowadays have around 8 gigs of RAM, so you guys should be fine on that front. So, with that, I will put the update into this GitHub repository. I will put in everything. I'll update the changelog to, you know, inform you guys that it's working properly. I may put a bit of a special logo in, who knows, maybe in a future update. But as of now, I want to thank all of you for joining me today. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and let me know what you think of this software down there in the comment section. So yeah, make sure to stay safe, have fun, and I hope to see all of you beautiful people next time.